Hey guys, welcome to another art tutorial. Today we're going to do split primary palette. So this is a split primary palette color wheel, and this thing, no joke, changed my life when it came to colors. I studied this thing for months and practiced with it and finally understood warm and cold colors. Okay, so basically a split primary palette is having 6 primary colors instead of 3. Okay, so you've got 3 cold, red, yellow, blue, and 3 warm, red, yellow, blue. And what that does is actually gives you the ability to mix all of your neutral secondaries, which are the kind of grayed or browned or neutralized secondaries, and all your really brilliant secondaries. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to set up your own color wheel today. I have used generic terms: warm yellow, warm red, cold blue, warm blue, because I'm going to give you a list of all the name brands that fit underneath each of these categories. So depending on which brand you're using, you'll know what exact color is going to fit into your little piece of pie here. Okay, and you can download that on the website. You do have to join the mailing list to get it. I'll also have this downloadable, which you can trace if you cover the back with your graphite stick. Okay, you cover the whole back like this, then you just tape it down and you trace the whole thing. Trace it with a ballpoint pen. A ballpoint pen, because that gives you a nice, hard, solid tracing tool. And you can also tell where you've traced when you use a ballpoint pen. I'm going to be using part of this to trace, but I'm going to be using my palette here, my round palette, to get my circle in. And I'm using a square page just because that's what I had. This is an 8.5 by 11 sheet, so it'll fit on a 9 by 12 pad. And I want to make sure that I leave enough room for these sticky outy bits. So I want to make sure that that's plenty of room. Okay, so I'm going to trace this. Now this isn't going to work exactly, so I guesstimate this. I mean, if you're mathy, that's great. You can math it up and get these exact, but you basically want to split this circle into 3 pieces of pie. So I'm showing you the freehand version. Trace this if you're unsure. Okay, so I've split this up into roughly 3 pieces of pie that are approximately the same size. I'm not too concerned about perfection or exactness on these sizes. I've also drawn the line outside of the circle because these are our major sections of pie. Okay, so this on this side, we're going to call this the orange pie. This is the green pie, and this is the purple pie. And you'll see why we name them that when we get started. Okay, so now I want to split each one of these sections into 3 pieces of approximately the same size. Once again, not too worried about exactness or perfection. Approximation is good enough. Okay. Don't try and do pies straight across. It doesn't work that way, unfortunately. There is an odd number of pie pieces, which makes doing straight across sectioning of the pie not work out. Okay, I can see that my pie is a little wonky because my dot was not right in the middle. It was a little bit high. Guess how much I care? 0. I care 0 about that. Okay, so before we continue, I've lost my sections, my major sections of pie. So I'm going to remark those out with a Sharpie so that I can stay on track. The other ones I'm going to leave as pencil lines. You can mark them out as marker lines if you want to. Doesn't it suck when the marker doesn't work? It's like just one of those things where when the marker is thick and sweet and juicy and inky, all is right in the artist's world. When the marker is not, it's sadness. It's even worse. Watercolor paper is really absorbent on markers. It takes a lot out of them. And especially if you've ever tried to outline watercolor after you've painted it, the pigments will get picked up on the felt tip as well and make the markers, get them ruined really quickly. Okay, whoops. Creating a mess. There, I've got my 3 sections of pie divvied up again. Now I need to create my center pies. And I'm just gonna extend this right to the edge here. And that's how big my mix. This is my orange. Yes, it's my orange pie section. Excuse me. I'm drinking coffee and it's making me all phlegmy. But it's so good, I can't put it down. My boyfriend Keith brought home some coffee that was on sale. And we had been drinking it for 2 weeks and thought nothing of it, really. And then he said, "Did you know that was decaf that I brought home?" And he did it by accident. It's not like he was trying to do some sort of social experiment on me. And I said, no, I had no idea. And up until that point, until I knew it was decaf, the coffee was completely fine. The second I found out it was decaf, I couldn't stand it anymore. It wasn't the taste, it was like, this isn't the drugs that I'm looking for. I want real caffeine, please, and I can't stand it. Now, I do think that I was having more naps on the decaf. Maybe. It could be just placebo as well. But don't mess with my caffeine, is how I feel about it. Okay, so this is just winging it. You're better off to trace if you don't wanna wing it like this. This is just a container for the knowledge. This isn't as important as getting the mixing and the labeling right, and the understanding of how this color wheel works. Okay, so there we are, we're set up. Ta-da! Now, I'm gonna fill in, I'm gonna paint this whole thing for you, but I'm gonna fill in, and we're gonna speed that up. So I'm gonna do warm yellow, warm red, cold blue, warm blue. I'm gonna fill those in now, and I'm gonna speed that up because it's just filling in, so who cares, right? Okay, so I'll see you back when I'm done that. All right. Hey guys, we're back. So I finished with our regular primary colors, both warm and cold. Warm yellow, warm red, cold blue, warm blue. Now, the way this is set up is you've got orange pie here. This is where the orange is mixed. Green pie here. This is where the green is mixed. And purple pie here. Mixed purple. The way this is set up is you mix what's inside the pie to make a bright secondary. So you mix the cold yellow and the cold blue together to make a bright secondary green. In the orange pie, you mix the warm red and the warm yellow to make a bright secondary orange. So you're mixing what's inside the pie. In the purple section, you mix the cold red and the warm blue to make bright purple. So you're mixing what's inside the pie. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and mix those together. And you wanna make a mix that is between the two, okay? Which doesn't necessarily mean that you're using the exact same amounts of each of the primaries. Like red and blue are much stronger than the yellow, so you'll need much less red and blue to create a true orange, okay? So this is a nice test to see how to mix. All right, so I'll see you back here. We'll speed this up. Okay, so we've filled up our secondaries. This is pretty close because that's very orangey itself, the warm yellow, but whatever. So we've got our bright secondaries inside the pie. Now, here's the trick to this color wheel. Now you go outside the pie to mix a neutral secondary. Okay, so inside the pie is bright, outside of the pie is neutral. So to get a neutral green, we're gonna take a warm yellow and the warm blue, and they're gonna make a neutral green. So outside the pie. Okay, to get a neutral orange, we're gonna go outside the pie to cold yellow and cold red and get a neutral orange. Outside the pie. Inside the pie is bright, outside the pie is neutral. Okay, purple, guess, I'm gonna give you a minute, guess how we're gonna make a neutral purple. Right, outside the pie, we're gonna use warm red and cold blue outside the pie, and we're gonna mix them to make a neutral purple. Okay, inside the pie is bright, outside the pie is neutral. Okay, I'm going to fill these in and I'm gonna make little arrows. Okay, and then we'll meet you back here. Okay. Okay, just to make this really clear, I'm gonna start drawing some arrows. I don't know if the arrows are gonna be confusing. I hope they're not confusing. But just to make it clear, and this is still wet, so I need to be careful. See the orange? Just so you know, orange is never as neutral, obviously neutral, as the other ones. You can kind of get away with mixing orange with pretty much every yellow and red. It's just the way it works. But look at the green. No need to buy an olive. That's super olive right there. And look at the purple. Like I just love what happens to the purples where they get all weird and mixy underneath. Anyways. Okay, so what I want to do is do this. So mix in here is bright. Okay, that makes sense, right? Try to do this without dragging my hand through the paint. Bright. Bright. Okay, and what do you think's gonna happen from outside? Right, now there's gonna be a bunch of weird crossing over arrows. So watch closely. So outside the pie, it's still a bit wet. Ugh, it's damp. Neutral. Okay. There's no way around it. There's just gonna be crossing arrows. Neutral. Outside of the pie is neutral. Okay, and I'm doing this to kind of get this home, like work at home, how this palette works. Definitely just stop here or fast forward because we're gonna do how to mix black. You know what, forget it, I'll do it on a separate video. We're almost at the end. If you don't need to watch this, if you don't want to, just click forward and be done. I'm gonna label this last one. That's still a little wet. Okay, outside of the pie is neutral. Okay, so that is how to set up your split primary palette. Go do one now. Check out the next video, which is going to be how to mix black. Okay, see you then. Bye.